told myself I was going to do a video on this ASAP, so here we go. This is a Tamiya FW190, and this is an example of one of the trickier things you need to do if you're really getting into this idea of not using spray painting. The mottling, as it's confusingly called, these are models, all of these little dots. The models represent to me a very interesting set of ideas about Germany, German production, the Luftwaffe in World War II, all very interesting stuff. However, the end result is that the airplanes ended up looking pretty funky. And this is a good example. I have a photograph that shows this aircraft. And there was an earlier photograph of the same aircraft that had the modeling in this area, which looks like it's been cleaned or something. There's no modeling. They've also put this big black swoosh on there. I think it's pretty clear what's happening here. They're doing this because the Germans can tolerate a whole lot, but they are really they like things to be tidy, they like things to be clean, and they like things to be neat. This whole idea of putting this exhaust system right here and spraying out this ugly black exhaust, it just drove them bats. So in this particular case, this was the airplane of the pretty high-ranking dude, or none other than Pips Priller, famous for being the only man to fly over D-Day and the German Army or German Air Force. Anyway, I don't know whether that's really true or not. I've been told it's not true, but Priller was one of the very few Luftwaffe pilots to fly over the beaches at Normandy. And not in this airplane, but hey, that's beside the point. This is one of the very early FW190s. Priller had one, and here it was. And it was all nicely modeled, but this part here got dirty. So they sprayed it over with some blue paint. They got out the spray gun. They always love to do that. Sprayed it blue to clean it up, put the big black swoosh on there. So the boss could take this airplane to the meeting of the Luftwaffe brass, and that's where the photograph was taken. Now I've got the decaling done on this side for the modeling, and I'm going to put it on this other side and show you how it's done. But step number one in this process is to explain just exactly where I get this modeling material. This is a great big old sheet of decal material. As you can see, I've used some here, quite a bit maybe. I've got a note to myself up here. It's a cryptic note. It's a note. It doesn't matter. Anyway. Trying to tell myself what color this is. Like, what is that? This is one good sheet that I got out of about 4. But I bought a bunch of these sheets of inkjet paper that could be printed on an inkjet printer. And then you spray over it with some very stinky, very unpleasant Krylon clear. Krylon clear sprays on. I put on a couple of coats. And guess what? You end up with a usable decal. Okay? I'm going to show you how usable in about, hopefully not too many more minutes. This could be a longer video than normal. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm going to put this this modeling on there, and we're going to get, on the other side of the airplane, we're going to get something that looks like this. Okay. Okay. Now, where did I get this decal paper? Well, I got mine from a company called the Crafty Printer, which apparently is still in business. Lucky them. And here is their site on Etsy. And they also are on eBay. You know, I'm not going to go to the trouble to show you the eBay store. You can figure that out. Come on. Anyway, here's the Etsy store. I don't know how you feel about Etsy, and I don't care. At the top it says Etsy, the Crafty Printer. That's who I bought this stuff from. I don't know where they get theirs. I don't know if they just have the standard shiny decal paper. I don't know if they have a super colossal special decal paper that only they can get. That's kind of the point here, isn't it? I bought a bunch of decal paper from these people many years ago, 10 years ago. And I've been using it ever since. Now, if I sent you somewhere else to buy decal paper, I don't know what you're going to get, but you're going to go there, buy their crappy paper, you're going to be disappointed, and then you're going to contact me and say, you led me astray. Or maybe you'll go somewhere and talk bad about me. I can't, in good conscience, tell you anywhere else to buy this because I've never bought it anywhere else. I've only bought this from the Crafty Printer. They used to have a website. I believe it's the same people. That's all I can tell you. It's for inkjet. You'll notice here, this is for 20 sheets. It's not cheap. It's not dirt cheap. 20 sheets of this clear inkjet printer paper. And it's not cheap. I ruined about 3 of these. For every one that I got right. The next question, I believe, would be, well, where did you get all these little smudges? Where did you get all the modeling? Where these images come from? Well, you print it on your inkjet printer, but you have to make it. You have to make it with a program like what I used was Paint Shop Pro. Paint Shop Pro is an old program. You may recognize it if I show you the book. Here it is. Yep, may recognize that. This program is so old that they had a big fat book they'd send you with the program. You bought the program, you got the book. Wow. Those were the days. Now, I'm struggling right now to find a suitable replacement because I've used Paint Shop Pro, believe it or not, all these years. I think I paid a few bucks for it way back when. But it's old, it's gone, it's obsolete, it's off the map, it's gone. It sank off the edge of the earth, disappeared. Just like everything else. Okay? So, if you want to know how I did it, I use Paint Shop Pro. The end. There are plenty of other programs out there that can be used instead. It's similar to, right now, everybody's favorite whipping boy, Adobe Photoshop. It's similar to that. There's also a free program that you can get that's wonderful with Linux. And that program is called either the GIMP or GIMP. I don't know. Don't care. Getting tired of this. Honestly, at my age, I'm getting tired of it. You know. Oh, it's such a big deal. We're going to give it a name. It's going to be a special name. Who cares? I think it's the GIMP. Anyway, you know what this is. If you go look for graphics programs, it pops up. That's one option. There's a steep learning curve. Okay? So now we're going to take a look at this sheet. We're going to remember the words steep learning curve. Almost forgot that last word. Okay, steep learning curve. Each one of these sort of square areas is a little piece of model pattern that I stole from somewhere. I don't remember where, and I don't care. Somebody on the internet makes modeling decals of some kind, but they're not the right color that I want, and they're not the right size that I want, and they cost money, my friend. You don't want that. So I made my own on paper I bought from the Crafty printer. Here it is. Printed it out. I've got a bunch of these. Okay, I've got like a half a dozen of these sheets. Different kinds of papers. I mean, different kinds of patterns and so on. So I've got a pretty extensive collection of this kind of stuff. I can use it. I'm going to show you how it's used here, but you are not going to get there by just clicking on a link, signing up for Uncle Dan's, I'll do it for you system. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to do the work. You have to do the sweat. You have to do the agony, the cursing, the screaming. Yeah, all that. And then at the end of that, you can end up with some modeling that you can use. Now, the number one question I imagine I would get is tell me, how do you get the right color here? I mean, this looks pretty good, color-wise. That looked kind of like you matched the color. How did you do that? I have a really good eye for color. I've taken the test. I've got perfect color vision. This reflects negatively on my masculinity, I think. Because, there's nothing more macho than the guy. Oh, I'm colorblind. I don't even... Yeah, I have to go into them pretty flower stores and say, give me some yellow flowers, but I don't know which ones are yellow because I'm colorblind. That's macho. I, on the other hand, I can see them all. So, we're going to get back to talking about how I got these colors correct. I got them correct by looking at the screen and think about it. I also realized I was going to have a 60 to 80% failure rate. So I would try to get the right color, print it out on a piece of paper to test it, check the paper, take it over to a model that was painted with the right colors, look at that and say, look, what's going on here? Is that the right color? No. I'm printing it on a piece of paper. Only after I get it set up so that it works properly do I print it on the actual decal paper. Okay? It's not as hard as it sounds. It sounds difficult, but it's not as difficult as it sounds, and it's not as expensive as it sounds. But what you end up is this. Okay? All right, then. My goal here today is to take my very fancy, I know I told you about, I was going to get these, the very fancy Tamiya decaling scissor. Okay? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, right, your congressman. Okay. First thing we're going to do is get some water in there. Not too much. We're doing decaling. We're not going for a swim. We're not scraping a hog. Okay. Step number one, I just kind of eyeball this, but you know what? Say hello to my little friend. Can't say that either? You people are difficult. You can only impersonate Tony Montana if you are in fact a Cubano. Okay. We got my little friend here. I'm going to try to use this a little bit. These dividers are so great. You got to get a set of these dividers. And they're cheap. You can get them in any building supply store. All right. All right. We're going to set this up and kind of like that, I guess. All right. I do a little measuring here. And I'm just going to kind of measure this by eyeball. Yeah. All right. Oh, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at that. Good Lord. All right. All right. The idea is I'm going to... You don't have to be that exacting about it because, man, you don't get uptight about it. Okay, here we go. Now, these guys here have an obvious... Oh, hang on. Maybe over here is better. Okay, these guys here have an obvious place where it's been cut off due to the limitations of printing. Remember that phrase? No? Ugh. Anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this off. Yes, no, yes. Okay, here we go. We're just going to cut off a little chunk that kind of looks like the appropriate looking. It's got to look appropriate. Okay. Now we have something to work with. I do not really, you know, I'm not a German myself. And I don't really go in for the... There we go. Okay. Now the idea is to get this so that it's just right. Okay. Once I eyeball it, once I've looked at what I'm doing here, yeah, it looks easy. Sure it does. Okay, the important thing, what is the story on this? Well, you're just going to have to take my word for it, because I am done with that. I'm going to stick it in the water. It doesn't have to stay in there very long. How did I get it to be the right size? I'm not sure it is the right size. I just took a guess. This is supposed to be a relaxing hobby. It's not supposed to be unrelaxing. If you want an unrelaxing hobby, try YouTube. That'll do it for you. Now putting the decal on the tail. It's going to involve a number of tricks. Most important of which is to make sure that it doesn't curl up. Because this decal paper and you sprayed it with something and so on, it's not the easiest decal material to use. You'll get something that's curled up. It'll curl up on you. And if you don't know what I mean by that, I mean the film will curl into a tight little tube. So when you put that on the model, and I'm going to put some spit on there, and that's the way I'm going to do it from now on. This is Spit City here. All y'all that can't handle that got to be moving on, okay? Okay, this decal is ready. It will slide off. I can't just take it off and move it around. I've got to put it on the surface. Put it on the surface. I don't know what I have to do to get this. Maybe I have to reorient this camera somehow. I don't know. Got to put it on there. And slide. Yeah, I cannot get this lined up with the camera, so what do you say? Yeah, I don't give a damn. That's what I say. Okay. All right. Friends and neighbors. I push that down on there carefully. I get a tissue. What kind of tissue? Damp tissue. You can spit on it if you have that much spit. I don't anymore. I only have spit for specialized occasions. But I have a damp, wet tissue here. And with my wet tissue, I'm going to push on that. Do not, I say again, do not try this with a dry tissue or your dry finger or anything else like that. Oh, interesting. There's some kind of surface detail on there that's sticking up really high. It's okay though. There's no big rush. The end of the world isn't coming. Okay? All right. Okay, let's just press on. Now that initial deal was just painful, so I'm going to skip that. We're going to go over here to our other friend, Mr. Camera, and we're going to eyeball this. And basically, because I've already done this once, I know kind of what the shape of the thing is going to be. Okay. I never know what to do with this. Over here, over here. So cool. You know what I'm doing? Turn that off. Okay, let's go to this side. Okay. Weird. Okay, I'm going to cut off this bottom row here. finally figured out where this camera's pointing. That's something. That's progress. Maybe I should swap that around. Yeah, I think I should do that. Okay, put her in the water. That is gonna loosen up remarkably soon. You can do this in real. I can do this in real time. You have to do it in imaginary time, some other time. You'll go do it some other time. I'll do it in real time. Okay. I'm going to dampen that up. With spit. You know, you heard it here first. That's right. Get this ready to go. Is it moving? Is it ready to slide? Yes, it is. Now you got to hold the end of it down. You got to hold it down. And pull that paper out there from there. All right. Now, see what we got here? Again, damp, wet, nice wet tissue. Goes in there like so. Okay. And I'm going to add some more here to go take it up about the same place it's on the other side. There needs to be a little bit more decaling there. Okay, that's how that works. This has been a longer video than normal. But I think it's an item that needs to be addressed, and I needed to do it. So, hey, press on with pride, and we'll see you next time.